Hello students, in today's class we are going to revise the next chapter, complex numbers and quadratic equations. This is a very easy chapter. Hope you remember most of the things. Let me give a quick recap. So what is meant by a complex number? The number involving this I, imaginary part, is called as a complex number. In general, we will denote the complex number by Z. Z is a plus ib, and we know I square is equal to minus 1. The value of I square is minus 1. So every complex number will have a real part and the imaginary part. Real part we will denote it by Re of Z, and imaginary part we will denote it by Im of Z. And in a plus ib, a is called a real part, and the part of the complex number involving this I is called this imaginary part. So b is the imaginary part. You should not write ib. Ib is the imaginary part. No, you should not write I. The coefficient of I is called the imaginary part. You should not include that I. Right? So z equal to a plus ib is a general form of a complex number in which a is the real part and b is the imaginary part, and the value of I square is minus 1. Then we have seen algebra of complex numbers, how to add two complex numbers, how to subtract two complex numbers. These can be done like a normal addition subtraction of integers. When you are adding two complex numbers, the real parts should be added together and the imaginary parts should be added together. Like when we are doing addition of two variables, two polynomials, we will add the like terms, right? The same way. So real parts you have to add. 2 minus 6 is minus 4. When you add the imaginary part, 3 plus 5 will become 8. So 8i. So sum of two complex numbers can be done in this way. The same way, the difference of two complex numbers as well. You have to subtract the real parts and then the imaginary parts, and then you have to carry over that I, right? Then how to multiply two complex numbers? You have to multiply term by term. You have to multiply term by term as we do the product of two polynomials. So 2 into minus 6, 2 into 5i. It's not like adding the multiplying the real parts and multiplying the imaginary parts. Only addition and subtraction we have to do in that way, adding the real parts and adding the imaginary parts separately, addition or subtraction. When it comes to multiplication, you have to do term by term, similar like we do with two polynomials. So 2 into minus 6 is minus 12, 2 into plus 5i, 2 into 5 is 10, so it will become 10i, plus into minus is minus, 3 into 6, 18i, plus into plus is plus, 5 3s are 15. Remember, I into I will become I square. The value of I square is minus 1. Alright. Now you can add the like terms. So I terms you can add together. 10i minus 18i will become minus 8i. When we substitute the value for I square, it will become a real part now. 15 into minus 1 has become minus 15. Now you can add minus 12 and minus 15. Right? So this how only you have to perform the multiplication of two complex numbers. How to do the division of two complex numbers? So before we get into division of two complex numbers, we should know how to find the inverse. How we will find the inverse? This is like rationalizing the denominator. When we perform in irrational numbers, what we will do? We will multiply and divide by its conjugate. The same way, you have to multiply and divide by its conjugate. What is called its conjugate? You have to change only the sign of the imaginary part. The sign of the real part should be as such. The sign of the real part should be as such. Even if it is going to be minus, it should be retained as minus only. You have to change only the sign of the imaginary part. Here the sign of the imaginary part is plus. So I have multiplied and divided by minus. So 2 plus 3i is in the denominator. We have multiplied and divided by 2 minus 3i. Alright. Now numerator, if you have some other number in the denominator, some other complex number, then you have to perform multiplication of two complex numbers in the numerator as we have done here. But in this problem we have 1. So 1 into 2 minus 3i is going to be 2 minus 3i only. The denominator a plus b into a minus b. What is a plus b into a minus b? A square minus b square. So it has become 2 square minus 3i the whole square. Right? So 2 minus 3i divided by 2 square is 4. Now listen, you have to do it carefully. Now 3i the whole square. What is 3i the whole square? 3i into 3i. So 3 3s are 9 into I is I square. So the value of I square is minus 1. So 9i square will become minus 9. Already we have another minus here. So minus into minus plus 1. So you have to do all these types of calculations very carefully. Wherever you have y square, it will become minus 1. Right? Then 2 minus 3i divided by 13. So what is the real part here? 2 by 13 is the real part minus 3 by 13 is the imaginary part here. So this how only we have to find the inverse or the reciprocal of the given complex number. Now how to divide two complex numbers? The same way as I told you now. Suppose if the question is 2 plus 3i divided by minus 6 plus 5i. First we have to multiply and divide by its conjugate. Then multiply the numerator like the multiplication of two complex numbers. And denominator is of the form a plus ib into a minus ib. That is a square a plus b into a minus b. So it will be a square minus b square. Then we can simplify. When you are multiplying, if you get I square, be careful, it will become minus 1. So it will become the real part. Then in the denominator, I square will become minus 1. Minus into minus, it will become plus. So do the calculations carefully. And then you have to simplify and write it as a real part plus the imaginary part. So as of now, we have seen what is meant by a complex number, what is the representation of a complex number, how to represent it. Then we have seen algebra of complex numbers like addition of two complex numbers, subtraction, multiplication and division. Next we are going to see powers of I. What is meant by powers of I? I power n is going to be, I power 1 is going to be I. What is I square? I square we know minus 1. Now I cube can be written as I square into I. So this will become minus 1 into I such as minus I. I power 4 is I square into I square. So minus 1 into minus 1 it will become plus 1. Likewise we can derive. Right? I power 5 can be written as I square into I square into I. So minus 1 into minus 1 into I. So it will become plus 1. Right? So whenever you come across powers of I like this in your question, you can resolve it. You can try to write it in terms of I square. And then the separate, if you have odd powers, it will not end up with the even powers of square, right? So the separate I you can mention. Then you can calculate and give the answer. Got it? Next is what will happen to the negative powers of I. Negative powers of I power minus 1 is nothing but 1 by I. So again, as we have done for a complex number, we have to multiply and divide it by I. Then only the denominator will become I square. So I by I square, which is nothing but I by minus 1, which is nothing but minus I. What will be I power minus 2? 1 by I square, which is nothing but 1 by minus. This can be directly solved. So no need of multiplying and dividing. What is I power minus 3? 1 by I cube. I cube is I square into I. So 1 by minus I. Now multiply and divide by I so that we can find. Like this only you have to solve when you come across powers of I in your problem. Right? Next we have seen how to find the square root of a negative real number. So far we have been restricted to only positive real numbers, right? We restricted to the square root of a positive real number. Now let us see how to find the negative real number, square root of a negative real number. Because just now we have read what is the value of minus 1, which is I square. So minus root 3 can be written as I squared into 3. Now I squared is a perfect square. We can take it out. So it will become I root 3. So the square root of minus root 3 is I root 3. The square root of minus 64 is going to be 8i because minus 1 can be written as I square. So 64i square, which is nothing but 8i. Got it? So hereafter if you have minus inside the square root, you can write it as I square. Right? Next few identities also we have seen. The identities which is true for the real numbers is also true for complex numbers. Like a plus b the whole square. A plus b the whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. a minus b the whole square, a square plus b square minus 2ab, a minus b the whole cube, a cube minus 3a square b plus 3ab square minus b cube, right? Then a square minus b square is a plus b into a minus b. All these identities are also holds good for any two complex numbers, right? Then we have seen simple problems like how to express complex number in the form of a plus ib. How to express it in the form of a plus ib? Like simplifying the given question and multiplying and dividing by its conjugate and applying the powers of I, like whatever things you want to do, you can perform there, and then you try to express it in the form of a plus ib. If you see the first question, 5i into minus 3 by 5i. So you have to just multiply it. 5 will get cancelled. So we got minus 3i square. I square is nothing but minus 1. So 3. So how you will express it in the a plus ib form? Here there is no imaginary part. So it can be written as 3 plus 0i. The real part is 3 and the imaginary part is 0. If you see the next example, it is I power 9 plus I power 19. Now how you will express? Just now we have seen how to find the powers of I, right? So I power 9 can be written as I power 8 into I. Similarly, I power 18 into I. Write it in 2 powers, right? I power 8 can be written as I square the whole power 4. I power 18, I square the whole power 9. Now this is minus 1. Minus 1 the whole power 4 will become 1. Minus 1 the whole power 9 will become minus 1. And we have taken I common. Plus 1 minus 1 will become 0. 0 into anything is 0. So it is 0 plus I0. We have to express it in the form of a plus ib. Here real part is also 0. Imaginary part is also 0. Right? Now if you see the next question, it is of the form I 1 minus I the whole power 4. It can be expressed as 1 minus I the whole square, then only we can expand it using a minus b the whole square identity. After expanding, we got minus 2i the whole square, again which is 4i square, which is 4 into minus 1. So likewise you have to do it. So repeatedly we will be using the powers of I identities, algebraic identities, and multiplying by the conjugates. That's it. So if you repeatedly, according to the problem, context of the problem, if you apply, you can express it in the form of a plus ib. Hope you remember all these things. Here a minus b the whole cube identity. A cube minus b cube minus 3a square b plus 3ab square. You have to expand and then resolve. If you have more than 1 as a power of I, you have to simplify and then only you have to give your answer. Here we have I cube, you should not leave as such because we know the value of I square is minus 1. So it can be written as minus 1 into I, which is nothing but minus I. And here I square value minus 1. So when you have more than 1 as a power of Y, you have to simplify and then only you have to give your answer, right? Next we have seen another important concept of complex numbers called modulus, conjugate and inverse. How to find the modulus of a complex number? What is a modulus of a complex number? Normally with the real numbers, when we write inside the modulus, we will take if it is going to be a negative number, we take it as a positive. We will take the absolute value, right? We will take only the values in spite of its sign. But here it's quite different. What we are going to do here, we are going to leave the imaginary part. So modulus of z is square root of a square plus b square. Leaving the I, we are going to write it. So modulus of z is square root of a square plus b square, which means real part square plus imaginary part square. So modulus of z square is going to be a square plus b square. Then what is its conjugate? We are already aware of this. Conjugate means there will be sign change only with the imaginary part, not with the real part. If the imaginary part is plus, its conjugate is going to have minus. If the imaginary part is minus, its conjugate is going to have plus. Okay, you should not touch the sign of the real part. Only there will be sign change with the imaginary part. Then how to find the inverse of a complex number? That also we have seen already in the beginning of this chapter. You have to multiply and divide by its conjugate. So from this what we infer? Z inverse is nothing but Z conjugate divided by, see, this is what we got after multiplying its conjugate. So Z inverse can be written as Z bar divided by modulus of Z the whole square. What is Z bar? Conjugate of Z. So inverse of a complex number can be written as conjugate of that complex number divided by modulus of that complex number the whole square. So Z inverse is nothing but Z bar divided by modulus of Z the whole square. If you cross multiply, we will get Z bar is nothing but modulus of Z the whole square, because Z inverse is 1 by Z, right? So Z bar is nothing but modulus of Z the whole square. This is also a result you have to know. It may be asked in 1 mark. Then we are going to extend the remaining results for the modulus. The modulus of two complex numbers is like multiplying its modulus separately. Both are same. Then modulus of Z1 by Z2 is same as modulus of Z1 divided by Z2. Similarly, it is true for the conjugates as well. Z1, Z2 the whole bar. The conjugate of product of two complex numbers is same as taking the conjugate and then multiplying. And it is true for addition and subtraction, division. And if you see keenly, the modulus is true only for multiplication and division, not for addition and subtraction. Okay, whereas the conjugate is true for all the 4 operations: multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Kindly remember, because when it comes to modulus, it is square root of a square plus b square, which is not true for addition and subtraction. It is true only for multiplication and division, right? Next we have seen how to solve problems on multiplicative inverse. How to find the multiplicative inverse? Just now we have seen a formula. You can go with the formula, or else you can find 1 by 4 minus 3i, 1 by that z. How to find 1 by z? Multiplying and dividing by its conjugate. You can directly go with that, or else you can use the formula. Z inverse is Z bar divided by modulus of Z the whole square. Using the formula is easier, right? Conjugate is going to be 4 plus 3i. Modulus of Z square is, here the value of A is 4, the value of B is minus 3. You have to take along with this sign. So A square plus B square is going to be Z square. So 16 plus 9, which is nothing but 25. So Z inverse is the 4 plus 3i. Conjugate only you have to take, right? So 4 plus 3i divided by 25. So you can write it in the form of A plus IB. By writing this 25 for real part and the imaginary part separately, right? Next we have seen another important concept of complex numbers, how to express it in Argand plane and how to represent in the polar form, right? When we talk about Argand plane, it is like how we have represented so far, x plus iy, right? Where x-axis denotes the real axis and y-axis denote the imaginary axis. And modulus of s, that is square root of a square plus b square, gives the distance between the point and the origin, right? How you will represent a complex number in the Argand plane? In the Argand plane, like real part comma imaginary part, you have to plot it. X comma y will give you the location of the complex number in the Argand plane, where x-axis denotes the real axis and y-axis denote the imaginary axis. And z is x plus iy and z bar is going to be x minus iy. So it is the mirror image. We will call it as the mirror image, conjugate as the mirror image. Now how to express it in the polar form? The polar coordinates are r comma theta. What is r? R is modulus of z, which means square root of a square plus b square. If you express it in x and y, then it is square root of x square plus y square is r. And theta is the angle which this OP makes with the positive direction of x-axis. With OP makes with the positive direction of x-axis, where x is r cos theta, y is r sin theta. So when you express a complex number in the form of polar coordinates, it should be written in terms of r and theta, where r is modulus of z and theta you have to find out. Theta is the angle made with the positive direction of x-axis. And the relation between x, y, r and theta is x is equal to r cos theta, y is equal to r sin theta. Therefore, how to express a complex number in the polar form? x plus iy, which is nothing but r into cos theta plus I sin theta, where this theta is called the argument or amplitude of z. We will denote it by arg of z. So when you want to express a complex number in the polar form, you have to find out what is r and theta. Then only we can write z in polar form, like r into cos theta plus I sin theta, right? As we have seen in trigonometric functions, the principal solution for the trigonometric equations, we have a principal argument. So we are bothered about the value of theta which lies in between minus pi and pi. That is called the principal argument. With the principal argument only, we will express it in the polar form, right? So if we get theta in the third quadrant or fourth quadrant, if it lies in the first and second only, it will be minus pi to pi, right? So if it lies in the third and the fourth quadrant, we will assume it like a mirror image as we have discussed just now. So if theta lies in the first quadrant, we will take the argument as such. If it lies in the second quadrant, it is going to be pi minus theta. But if it lies in the third or the fourth quadrant, we will take it as alpha minus pi and minus alpha, the mirror image, the negative of that. If it is going to be theta, here it is going to be minus theta. Here it is going to be pi minus theta, here it is going to be theta minus pi. Remember, but this is not the case with the trigonometry what we have learnt. In trigonometry functions, to find the solution of the equation, we will use it as here pi minus theta, here we will use pi plus theta, and here 2 pi minus theta. Hope you remember. But when it comes to complex numbers, to find the principal argument, we will take it as alpha pi minus alpha, third and fourth quadrant as the mirror image of this, alpha minus pi and minus alpha, right? Then we have solved problems like how to find the modulus and the argument. You may get question like this. They may ask you to find the modulus and the argument, or they may ask you to express it in the polar form, right? So how to find the modulus? When the question is z equal to minus 1 minus I root 3, we know modulus is square root of x square plus y square. X is minus 1, y is minus root 3. You have to take along with the sign, remember. So square root of x square plus y square. So we got root 4, which is 2. So we found what is r. Then our aim is to find theta. How to find the theta? We know the relation between x, y, r and theta. What is x? R cos theta. Y is r sin theta. So cos theta is going to be x by r. Sin theta is going to be y by r. Now x value we know minus 1. R value is 2. So cos theta is minus 1 by 2. Sin theta is minus root 3 by 2. Now if we see, both cos and sin are negative. In which quadrant both cos and sin will be negative? In the third quadrant. In the third quadrant only both cos and sin will be negative. You can identify the quadrant in two ways. One is you can check with the trigonometric ratio sign and then you can assign, or else you can check the sign of the x and y coordinate. X is also negative, y is also negative. So it will lie in the third quadrant only, because we will locate a complex number based on the coordinate, based on the real and the imaginary part only, right, on the argand plane. So based on the sign of the x and y coordinate also you can assign the quadrant. So we have identified, because we know all silver teacups, so both cos and sin will be negative only in the third quadrant. Or if you find it easier with this, you can go with that also, right? So after identifying the quadrant, we have to check out with the theta. Cos theta is half, sin theta is root 3 by 2. So this is possible only with 60 degree, right? So we have identified alpha, but it lies in the third quadrant. If it lies in the third quadrant, it should be written as alpha minus pi, right? So 60 minus pi. 60 minus pi. So 60 we cannot subtract it from pi, right? So express it in terms of pi. 60 is nothing but pi by 3. So pi by 3 minus pi, which is nothing but, if you take LCM, minus 2 pi by 3. So theta, argument we have found out. So the argument is minus 2 pi by 3 and the modulus is 2. Hope you recalled, right? So this is how you have to find the modulus and the argument of the complex function. Complex number. After finding this, suppose if they ask you to express it in the polar form, you can write, because we know z is equal to r into cos theta plus I sin theta is the polar form. So how we will express 2 into cos minus 2 pi by 3 plus I sin 2 pi by 3 is the polar representation of the given complex number, right? Let us see another example, like 1 minus I, the same way x is 1, y is minus 1. So when it comes to r, it is going to be modulus of zeta. So square root of 1 square plus minus 1 the whole square, which is root 2. Then cos theta is x by r, sin theta is y by r. So 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2. So 1 by root 2 stands for 45, which is pi by 4. But here cos is positive, sin is negative. So it should be in the fourth quadrant. Or else looking at the x and y coordinate also, we can assign the quadrant. So in the fourth quadrant, we will take it as negative of the angle. So theta is minus alpha, which is minus pi by 4. Right? Now how we will express in polar form? R into cos theta plus I sin theta. So root 2 into cos minus pi by 4 plus I sin minus pi by 4. Right, like this only we have to solve problems. Next we have seen how to find the solution of a quadratic equation. We know the formula is minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Right, and we know how to find the solution of a quadratic equation using this formula. But in this chapter we are going to see what will happen if we get a negative square root. So x square plus 3 equal to 0. So x square is going to be minus 3. So x is square root of minus 3. So minus can be written as minus 1 can be written as I square. Right. So x is I square. If you take it out, it is going to be I. So plus or minus I root 3 is the solution of this equation. Now if you get a question like this, we know the coefficient of x square is a, coefficient of x is b, and this is constant term. So again if you substitute in the formula, again we got a negative here, so which can be replaced it as I square. So minus 1 plus or minus I root 7 by 4. Right? Like this only we have to solve the problem quadratic equation using the formula. Hope you recalled all the models what we have learnt in this chapter. Then we have solved questions like this in our miscellaneous exercise. For any two complex numbers, prove that real part of z1 z2 is equal to real part of z1 into real part of z2 minus imaginary part of z1 into imaginary part of z2. So you have to assume the values of z1 and z2, like z1 is a1 plus ib1, z2 is a2 plus ib2. Then we have to multiply z1 and z2. We have to take the real part of it separately. Then we have to find real part of z1, z2. Left hand side, right hand side separately we have to find, and then we have to check out. So the thing which are the coefficient of I will form the imaginary part, and the terms which is independent of I will become the real part. Remember, the terms with I is the imaginary part and the term without I is called the real part. So do these questions as homework and send it in the group, and if you have doubts you can ask me. Thank you students.